Okay, welcome back again to 1989. We're doing a few from 1989 now. Well, not a few. This is the second one I'm recording today. I've just finished recording Golden Axe, and now we have Final Fight. Now, I had it in my head that all of these games were quite a bit later, into the 90s. But no, it's funny actually. I mentioned about criticise sort of Altered Beast. I always go back to Altered Beast for some reason. So this is set in the 90s. So near future stuff. I mean, again, like I was saying about Crude Busters, the world was all set to fall apart, especially the urban environments like New York. So I guess this is another, New York catastrophe type game. Here we go. Oh God, I love these exaggerated characters designs here. Just because Altered Beast always seemed so primitive to me in how it presented its narrative and its story, and you got all these games doing it fairly well at this point. You can still see they're kind of getting the hang of the full screen portraiture. Here with the characters, they all look a bit. The actual sprites look a lot better than the whole portraits. Those aren't too bad, but when they start doing the comic book pages, I mean, you saw in the Avengers game, those comic book things look pretty awful. I think it must have been that this was a new style of art that people are still getting to grips with. And the expression on his face, that little guy there, was pretty appalling as well. I don't know what he's looking like. So here we go. You play Mike Haggar, who I guess was designed to look like Jesse Ventura, fresh out of Predator and The Running Man as well. I forgot he was in Running Man. He certainly looks the part. It's funny this. When did Street Fighter 2 come out? Because you've got your main characters there. You've got Mike Haggar, who's this ex-wrestler, definitely based on New York, Metro City. It's New York. I'm sorry. This is on my list of New York post-apocalypse, crime apocalypse games. I thought that said Metal Gear then. It's Mad Gear. How funny. Anyway, fairly generic character designs. I mean, Mike Haggar, they could have done this great thing with the sort of pro WWF. He's this ex-wrestler who's become mayor of the city, predating the Governator, Arnold Schwarzenegger's move into politics by a good decade here. But I guess he looks a bit like Zangief. Yes, you got Mike Haggar, and then you've got. He could have done something really interesting with Haggar. You could have had him as this sort of WWF style costumed wrestler going through the streets, which would have added something quite interesting to it. So something a bit more original character design. And then you've got this. Are they Double Dragon? Or I suppose they're more like Ryu and Ken rip-offs. I suppose that's why this game sort of never. I don't know. It's something that I've always been a bit cynical about. Things that weren't sort of visually very inspiring or innovative. Let's see what this is. Who should I play? I mean, his expression. He kind of looks like Rodney out of Only Fools and Horses. With that gormless expression. Let's play as Mike. May as well play as the main character. It's basically the same plot as Double Dragon. Characters go rescue. Well, they're rescuing the girlfriend, I guess, and Mike, he's rescuing his daughter. Sort of same animation going on as Schaefer in Aliens vs Predator with him, actually. Funny enough, 2 years. This is 2 years prior to Captain America and the Avengers, which I played, and actually you can see Capcom have really got their artwork down pat at this point. There's some really solid artwork going on. Although I have to say, it's a little bit of a cheat because everything's following pretty similar template. Engine-wise, there's so much here that's almost identical to Aliens vs Predator and Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. So a lot of reusing of assets and redrawing sprites and so forth, and just detailing stuff. But I love the little graphical touches here. It seems quite ahead of its time with the flashing light, flickering lights, and the environmental art is quite interesting. And the action's got a real sort of... They're feeling quite solid the way you're punching and throwing guys around here. I like the mix of fighting styles. I mean, be interesting to play as the other two characters. I've got a feeling they probably play almost identically. I wonder if they all fight each other at the end like Double Dragon. I don't know. Interesting sort of... definitely at this stage, we've gone full-on narrative-driven games by this point. We're inspiring the players to play through their own action movies. And of course, the coin ops were able to offer the players something that visually was obviously spectacular for its time. And looked just... yeah, it looked like... yeah, you wanted to entice your players to play, hey, look, you're playing a 1980s action movie. This was the age of the great action movies. And the action movie stars Schwarzenegger and Stallone and Van Damme. And this carries on the whole legacy again of everything from the Warriors onwards, basically. Oh, it's still coming at me. It's quite cathartic. There's a nice mix of background artwork and mix of character artwork. They really did. I think some of these games are... that's funny. Nice little bit of persuasion to get the player to spend more money. Let's see how different these guys are. So, stock martial arts character. Don't think he's as interesting actually as Haggar's character. Yeah, it's all nice environmental art going on. I remember this causing a storm when it came out on the home computers, especially. I remember when everyone was talking about it when this came out in the early 90s on the ST and the Amiga. The Atari ST and the Amiga really got the short straw as far as a lot of arcade conversions was concerned. And I remember playing through this on about one afternoon with a friend on our Atari ST, and thinking, my God, we are finally getting to play a proper video game. Because console players, I must say, had it quite good. I don't know what the console versions are like of this. I remember the ST version. I mean, the artwork was all there, but I remember the frame rate was abominable. And the little special effects would be gone. They do a fairly good job of keeping the game interesting by having a good variety of background settings. And it's actually quite challenging. It's another one, I think, that was... See, it's got the whole AI tactic of one character trying to get behind you and mixing up attacks. So, yeah, see, that guy's gone behind me. And I seem to have... Oh, that's quite good. I've got a move that kicks in both directions. A little roundhouse kick. Yeah. Andre Jr. Is that a reference to Andre the Giant? I don't know. Yeah, I think this really captured a lot of people's imaginations at the time. It's got the great New York setting. It's got the action movie kudos. You know, this is straight out of some cheap Hollywood action flick of the era, or Hong Kong martial arts movie. It's I mean, that's what these games were doing before, actually. Yeah. It actually was the perfect fusion of Hollywood and the old Hong Kong martial arts stuff. When really a lot of, I suppose you had blood sport and kickboxer and everything going on. But these games were for people kids like me who weren't allowed to see, who never got to see all these movies, who weren't allowed to see them, you know. It was the whole setting and everything, it was really great. It was great. It was kind of magnetic, really. Oh, I can't keep the weapons. Wow, I can't remember them being samurai swords. These must be kind of random pickups or something. These guys just standing around at the side of the street waiting to be beaten up. I actually just watched The Warriors again the other night. I mean, I must say, I was kind of too young to watch a lot of the 80s action movies at the time. I watched some of the sort of... So I don't know if a lot of these characters are referenced elsewhere. From other cinema. Maybe Hong Kong cinema or something. I'm not sure. I guess I didn't start watching a lot of action movies until the 90s. I sort of missed out a whole decade, really, apart from stuff I've gone back and been able to see. But I should probably watch them just for how cheesy cinema was at the time. Yeah, I think this is one that sort of often I remember really from the time. I think, yeah, artwork rise. It's really ahead of its time. I can see why such a fuss was made of it. Sound effects wise, it's not as good. I suppose though, back in the day, sampled voice effects especially were pretty primitive. Also, there's not much variety. I think they could have done more with the pickupable weapons. Like, there's not a huge amount in the way of variety and movesets and stuff. And it quite sensibly allows you to change characters when you die, just to add a bit of variety. I mean, that's sort of another advantage it's got over some of the RPG ones like Golden Axe. Some of the animation's a bit shonky. The way that guy's standing there with his hand out looks a bit daft. And yeah, it's a small grumble, really. I don't think there's a huge amount more I can say about this game, actually. I'm surprised it never got a sequel. I can't see. I just checked to see if there's a Final Fight 2, but oddly enough, there wasn't. You know, some games got a sequel. Golden Axe at this time got 2 sequels, so yeah, I don't know why. I guess maybe because there was Double Dragon. I think this. Yeah, that's a point. I'm going to do Double Dragon next, and because this is basically a carbon copy, so, or an update. Let's see. Let's go and have a look at Double Dragon. And does he get blown up? Does he get blown to smithereens? Come on. Ah. Nah. Double Dragon. So hello and welcome back to 1987. 2 years before Final Fight. Must be about a good 3 years though, 3 or 4 years between the home conversions. Now I remember this on the Atari ST quite early on. But it took a while before Final Fight worked its way onto the Atari ST. Wow, it's amazing what two years worth of technology does. So, oh God. Yeah, political correctness, anyone? So as you can see, so I think they were called, was it Billy and Jimmy Lee? It's like, funny enough, you've got a slight more variety of move sets. You've got punches and kicks. Have you got throws going on in here? I know you. I'm sure you. Pretty sure I remember throwing. It is virtually, yeah. I mean, Final Fight really was sort of like, okay, Double Dragon. Am I trying to pick them up there? Yeah, Double Dragon was Final Fight's prototype, really. You've got the similar background style and another post-apocalyptic New York. I'm not post-apocalyptic, just, wow, they thought New York was going at this time. Oh my God, look at that 80s hair. She got a perm. Pick up that whip. I'm trying to get a hang of the controls here. Can I pick that thing up? God, he's moving all over the place. There added a bit of a platform element here, being able to go up here. Oh, I remember these big bald guys. I've just fallen off and hurt myself. Oh, I can pick up the baseball bat, can't I? I mean, they remind me of the guys from actually Golden Axe that I've just beaten up. You know, the big giant type characters. Can I pick that damn baseball bat up? I can't work out the controls for it. Oh, it doesn't matter. And of course, I was talking about actually Donkey Kong, and we pretty much haven't advanced much in terms of storyline from the days of Donkey Kong. Actually, if you think about it, we had in that game. Here we go. Ah, there we go. It's the top button. I've got main character. Oh, I don't even get a chance to use the damn thing. Yeah, you've got the main characters rescuing the girl from the big boss. So, and actually, Donkey Kong was 1981. This is 6 years later. Final Fight is 8 or 9 years later. Is that supposed to be Mr. T? God, the music's terrible in this. And we basically have the same story. We have guy rescuing damsel in distress through several levels of repetitive gameplay with slightly different. So, yeah, the whole player mechanics. Yeah, oh God, I'm trying to beat this guy. This is not particularly playable. Not least because the music is abominable. The graphics are pretty crappy. I suppose it was good for the time. I can see why this got. Actually, I can't really see why this got so many sequels. Maybe just because the genre took off at this time, but they decided to redo loads of these. But yeah, they can't take the arcade. They can't surrender entirely to a realistic story because, of course, you get to the end of the game and Billy and Jimmy have gone through several levels of combat hell to rescue, I think it's this guy's girlfriend, the blue guy. And then you get to the end, and if you both play the game, all pretense at a sensible story goes out of the window, because of course you've got to beat each other up. So why the girl you've just spent the whole game trying to rescue would want to date a complete psycho who kills their best friend, I don't know. Maybe she's just that sort of girl, but yeah, it's not exactly stories that you could take seriously. You see, I guess these games, you still get to the point where the action, the gameplay action trumps all pretense at running a decent story. This is so awful to play. I'm really kind of not enjoying this. I might do, though, a longer video where I look at the sequels, because I actually haven't looked at a game which has had so many sequels as Double Dragon. So yeah. It's a funny point in the game design at this point. They're trying to get more sophisticated, but all they're doing is, yeah, it just doesn't work, I don't think. It really hasn't aged well, this game. Yeah, I'm going to call it a day here with this. Definitely I'd rather play Final Fight than this. But that was a pretty good headbutt. Yeah, actually, I must say, what it's got over Final Fight and the other later games, actually, it does include these platform elements and a bit more jumping and things. I don't know how much it adds to the gameplay overall. I guess there's a bit more variety, because it's actually pointless being up there, and as you can see, I jump off the ledge and I just hurt myself. And 80s perm is back anyway. Oh, you can pick those things up. I'm getting real frame rate drop, actually. That's because this game isn't optimized particularly well, or maybe actually the frame rate drop you'd get in the original arcade machine as well. Because certainly this computer can handle better than this. I'm going to call it a day with this awful piece of 80s memorabilia. I usually like a bit of 80s arcade games, but this one I could do without. Alright then, see you later.